Have you ever been told that being kind is the right thing to do? That you should put others first, say yes when asked, help out whenever someone needs something, and always be available? Most of us were raised on that idea. But here's the question no one really asks. What does it actually cost to live that way? We live in a world where kindness doesn't always get acknowledged. Sometimes, it's not even appreciated. Sometimes, it's punished. Ever noticed that? You give, and somehow, the more you give, the more invisible you feel. The people you show up for, time and time again, are often the same people who disappear the moment you need them. And that's the hard truth. When you're too kind, without limits or balance, it doesn't make you a better person. It can quietly start to ruin your peace, mess with your sense of purpose, and slowly, without realizing it, it starts chipping away at who you are. The Stoic philosophers? They figured this out a long time ago. But they didn't say, stop being kind. That's not the takeaway here. What they taught was wisdom. They taught balance, virtue without attachment, generosity without losing your soul in the process. And that's what this video is really about. We're going to look at 8 subtle but powerful ways being too nice can actually hurt you. And more importantly, how to shift from constantly people-pleasing to becoming someone grounded, strong, and calm. Someone sovereign. This isn't about turning cold or selfish. It's about taking your power back. So if you've been feeling drained, like your kindness is becoming a trap, keep watching. And if you're on a journey to reclaim your time, your energy, and your inner peace, hit that subscribe button. This video is for you. Let's start with the first big trap of kindness, the expectation of reciprocity. You care about people. You show up for them. You offer your time, your attention, your energy. And deep down, maybe even quietly, you start to expect that the same care will come back your way. It's natural, right? But here's where things get tricky. People don't always notice what you're doing. They don't always realize how much you're giving up for them. Most of the time, they're not trying to be selfish. They're just wrapped up in their own lives. And if you're always giving from a place of, if I do this for them, maybe one day they'll return the favor, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. This is something Marcus Aurelius wrote about. He said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, do the right thing, but don't hinge your peace on what someone else does in return. That's what the Stoics called emotional detachment. Not in a cold, uncaring way, but in a wise, self-protective way. Give because it aligns with your values, not because you expect applause or a thank you. If your emotional well-being depends on how others respond to your kindness, you're giving them control over your peace. And that's dangerous. Here's a better way to think about it. When you give freely. Don't expect people to mirror your effort. Don't expect them to know what you sacrificed. Accept them for who they are, not who you hope they'll become. That kind of mindset? That's sustainable. And that leads us to the second hidden cost of being too nice. Neglecting your own needs. There's a quote from Carl Jung that hits hard. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But how do you become who you truly are if all your time is spent becoming who other people need? Think about it. When was the last time you truly checked in with your own emotional health? When was the last time you did something purely for yourself without guilt? If you're constantly saying yes to others, but saying no to your own well-being, you're going to burn out. That's why self-care is not selfish. That's a myth we need to retire for good. Self-care is how you protect your energy. It's how you stay grounded. It's how you ensure that what you're offering to the world isn't coming from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. If you want to help people, love people, support people, you have to have something left inside to give. That means rest. That means alone time. That means saying, not today, when you're feeling depleted. And most of all, it means having boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries for a second, because this is one of the biggest ways kindness goes off the rails. When we don't set limits, when we just keep giving, saying yes, stretching ourselves thinner and thinner, people don't just stop appreciating us. they start expecting it. What once felt like generosity starts to feel like obligation. You become the go-to person for everyone's problems. People stop asking, "Can you?" and start assuming, "You will." And that's where resentment builds. Not because you hate helping, but because you never meant for helping to become your full-time job. The Stoics were huge on boundaries, though they didn't call it that word. Epictetus, for example, talked about knowing what is and isn't within your control. That includes your time, your focus, your energy. You get to decide what you give and how much. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time just because you're a kind person. In fact, one of the kindest things you can do is show people how to respect you. And that starts with limits. When you give without boundaries, you don't just risk burnout. You risk losing your identity. You start to wonder, who am I beyond the one who's always there for everyone else? And that's a question worth asking. Because when kindness becomes your identity, rather than a part of your values, it can start to define you in ways that leave you stuck, small, and resentful. This is exactly why the Stoics taught moderation, not extremes. Balance is everything. So in this first part of the series, here's what I want you to take away. Kindness is a virtue, but kindness without wisdom? That's a trap. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold, it's about staying centered. Self-care is a requirement, not a luxury. Boundaries don't make you selfish. They make you sustainable. And finally, never let your kindness become a mask you wear instead of who you truly are. So let's keep going. Have you ever noticed how the more available you are, the less people seem to value it? It starts off simple. A friend needs help, you're there. A coworker drops the ball, you pick it up. A family member calls, you answer, even if you're tired, even if you were right in the middle of something important. And at first, it feels good. You're the dependable one. The person everyone knows they can count on. You feel needed, appreciated, important. But then something shifts. They don't ask anymore. They assume. Your help is no longer a gift, it's a given. You go from being appreciated to being expected. And the moment you can't show up the way they want, you're met with confusion or even frustration. That's the dangerous slope of being too nice without limits. The more people get used to your help, the more they start to take it for granted. And eventually, you stop feeling seen altogether. Let's be real, there's nothing wrong with helping. There's nothing wrong with being there for people. But when it becomes a pattern, when you're always saying yes, when you're always stepping in, it's easy to disappear into the background of your own life. You become the behind-the-scenes support for everyone else's story, and no one's stopping to ask how you're doing. This is why boundaries matter. They aren't walls. They're signals. They say, this is what I'm okay with. This is what I'm not. This is how you can respect my time and energy. The Stoics knew the danger of letting people pull you in all directions. Epictetus once said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower." What he's saying is, your time, your attention, your will, those are yours to control. If you give them away too freely, people will use them without even meaning to. It's not always malicious, it's just how humans operate. We adapt quickly to what's available. If someone always says yes, we stop wondering whether they're okay. We stop asking if they have time. We just get used to them always showing up. But here's the problem. The more you pour into others without replenishing yourself, the emptier you get. Eventually, you feel like no one sees the effort anymore. No one sees the cost. And that leads us to a really important truth. Kindness, when it's constant and unquestioned, can become invisible. People don't notice what they assume is permanent. Let me say that again. People don't notice what they assume is permanent. That's why it hurts when you need help and no one's there. Because you've been there for everyone, but the moment you need support, suddenly everyone's too busy. That kind of one-sided dynamic isn't sustainable. It breeds resentment. And resentment? That's the signal that something needs to change. But here's the good news, that change doesn't have to be harsh. You don't need to flip the switch and become distant or cold. You just need to become more intentional. Start asking yourself, am I saying yes because I want to, or because I feel obligated? There's a difference between generosity and guilt-driven compliance. Generosity comes from abundance. Guilt-driven yes come from fear. Fear of being disliked, rejected, or seen as selfish. But let's flip that narrative. What if saying no could be an act of self-respect? What if protecting your energy wasn't rude, but wise? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." You can apply that to your time too. If it's not right for you, you don't have to do it. If it's draining your peace, you don't have to keep giving. Saying no is a skill. And honestly, it's one of the most empowering skills you can learn. Because once you start setting those boundaries, once you stop being always available, something incredible happens. You begin to feel your power return. You stop feeling invisible. And people start paying attention. Now, let's be clear, when you first start setting limits, not everyone will like it. Some people will feel shocked. Some might guilt trip you. Some might even distance themselves. That's okay, because the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. The ones who don't? They were only comfortable with you when you were giving more than was healthy. Boundaries reveal the real shape of your relationships. And that's not something to fear, it's something to welcome. Because when you stop overextending, you finally have the space to reconnect with yourself. To check in with what you need. To move from being reactive to being intentional. That's what the Stoics meant when they talked about living in accordance with nature. Your nature, your rhythm, your purpose. Not just being swept up in everyone else's needs. When you take your availability off autopilot, you rediscover your own center. You stop defining your worth by how much you do for others. And that's a huge shift. You start to realize that your value isn't measured by how many people you please, but by how much peace you protect. So if you've been feeling unseen, if your kindness has started to feel like an expectation instead of a choice, here's what I want you to remember. Just because you can help, doesn't mean you have to. Availability is not the same as love. Kindness should be a gift, not a burden. And saying no isn't selfish, it's sacred. You're allowed to step back. You're allowed to take a breath. You're allowed to make yourself the priority, not because you don't care about others, but because you've finally decided to care about yourself too. In the next part, we're going deeper into why people-pleasing often leads to burnout, and how the Stoics can help you shift from feeling drained to feeling disciplined. If you've ever felt like you're constantly giving but not getting much back, you won't want to miss it. Let's talk about something you've probably felt, but maybe haven't named. Burnout. Not just, I'm tired, burnout, but the kind that creeps up slowly. The kind that comes from always putting everyone else first. The kind where you wake up one day and realize you're completely exhausted. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because you've given so much of yourself that there's almost nothing left. If you've ever been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You spend your days supporting, helping, giving. You say yes more than you should. You put your own plans, your own rest, your own peace on pause, because someone else needs something. At first, it feels like you're doing the right thing. You're being helpful. You're being kind. You're being selfless. But with time, something shifts. That helping starts to feel heavy. You start to feel drained instead of fulfilled. You don't get that same sense of joy from giving. You just feel depleted. And the worst part? You might even feel guilty for feeling that way. Like you're not allowed to be tired. Like being generous means you have to be limitless. But here's the thing, no one is limitless. Even the Stoics knew this. They didn't believe in endless sacrifice. They believed in balance, in discernment, in knowing when to give and when to step back. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." How often are you wasting your time, not on things that matter to you, but on everyone else's emergencies? How many times have you delayed your own goals, your own dreams, your own rest, because someone else needed you? Helping others is beautiful, But when it becomes your default setting, when you do it out of obligation instead of intention, it's no longer service, it's self-abandonment. And that's what burnout really is. It's the consequence of too many yes, too few boundaries, and not enough time spent checking in with your own needs. So how do you break this cycle? How do you shift from constantly being drained to finally feeling balanced? It starts with redefining what it means to help. Helping doesn't mean doing everything. Helping doesn't mean saying yes to every request. Helping means showing up in a way that's sustainable for you. Because if you keep giving from an empty cup, eventually that cup shatters. And when that happens, you're not helping anyone. You're just running on fumes. That's not noble. That's not kind. That's self-neglect. The Stoics taught that we should live with intention, not obligation. That we should act from virtue, not compulsion. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. In other words, your strength doesn't come from being everything to everyone. It comes from staying grounded in what you can actually control. Your energy, your attention, your decisions. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to rest. And here's a mindset shift that can change everything. You don't have to earn your worth through service. Your value as a person does not increase with every problem you solve for someone else. Read that again. You don't become better by burning yourself out. In fact, when you take care of yourself, when you rest, when you set limits, when you choose where to give and where not to, you actually help more effectively. But because now you're giving from a place of clarity and abundance, not from guilt or fatigue. You're present, you're focused, you're whole. And that changes everything. Let's be honest, burnout often happens because we're scared to let people down. We think, if I say no, they'll be disappointed. If I step back, I'll seem selfish. But here's what that fear is really covering up: a lack of trust in yourself. Trust that your no is valid. Trust that your boundaries are healthy. Trust that you don't have to prove your kindness to be kind. This is where the Stoic virtue of courage comes in. Courage isn't just about facing big dramatic fears. It's about facing the everyday moments where you choose yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Saying no when it's easier to say yes? That takes courage. Stepping back when you're used to overgiving? That takes courage. Choosing to rest instead of rescue? That's a new kind of bravery. Because deep down, we're not just addicted to helping, we're addicted to being needed. There's a strange comfort in being the person everyone turns to. It makes us feel important. It gives us identity. But that identity? It can become a trap. If your whole sense of self is tied to what you do for others, you'll constantly feel the need to do more just to feel enough. That's not peace. That's performance. And peace doesn't live in performance. Peace lives in alignment with your values, your time, your truth. That's why burnout is more than just physical exhaustion. It's a sign that something's out of alignment, that you've been living more for others than for yourself. And the path back starts with this simple but powerful truth: you're allowed to matter, too. Your dreams matter. Your rest matters. Your mental health matters. You're not just a support system. You're a person. And your needs are just as valid as anyone else's. So what can you do starting today? Start small. Say no once a day, even if it's just to a little request that doesn't serve you. Schedule something that's just for you, no guilt. Stop apologizing for needing time. And most importantly, stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. You are the only one who can protect your energy. No one's going to do it for you. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel, how much more intentional your help becomes, how much better your relationships get, because now they're not built on burnout. They're built on balance. Let's get honest for a moment. How many times have you put your own plans on hold because someone else needed something? You skip your workout because of friends in crisis. You push back your creative project because your team needs just one more favor. You delay applying to that dream opportunity because a family member needs help moving again. It feels noble, like you're being generous, selfless, a good person. But here's the thing, if this happens over and over again, if your goals, your dreams, your life keep getting bumped down the list, you're not just being helpful. You're disappearing from your own story. This is one of the most overlooked consequences of being too nice. You slowly lose sight of your own direction. And over time, you start to forget what you even wanted in the first place. It's like your life is on pause, but everyone else's movie is still playing in full speed. The Stoics understood this. Seneca, in particular, warned about it. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And here's how we waste it, by constantly handing it away. Minute by minute, task by task, favor by favor. If you never say no, if you always drop everything the second someone needs you, you will never have enough time left to build the life you were meant to live. And the scariest part? You might not even realize it's happening. You tell yourself, "I'll get to my stuff later. Once they're okay, then I'll focus on me." But later never comes. Because as long as you keep letting other people's priorities outrank your own, your goals stay in limbo. And deep down, you know it. You know you've been putting yourself last. But it's easier to keep helping others than to face the discomfort of chasing your own dreams. Let's sit with that for a second. What if all this people-pleasing, this constant self-sacrifice, what if it's actually a form of avoidance? Because let's be real, pursuing your own goals is hard. It's vulnerable. It forces you to face uncertainty, failure, growth. It demands you take responsibility, not just for helping others, but for building the life you want. Carl Jung said it best, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And that's exactly what people-pleasing helps you avoid. When you're constantly busy being there for everyone else, you never have to sit quietly with yourself. You never have to face the voice that says, "What do I want?" But that voice doesn't go away. It just gets buried, silenced, until eventually it erupts as resentment, regret, or a lingering sense that you're missing something. And you are. You're missing your life. That doesn't mean helping others is wrong. It's not. But when it becomes a substitute for self-work, when it becomes your excuse to avoid your purpose, that's when it becomes dangerous. This is where Stoic self-discipline comes in. Stoicism teaches us that discipline isn't just about structure, it's about clarity. It's about knowing what truly matters to you, and refusing to be distracted by anything that pulls you away from it, even if that thing looks like kindness. You can help others. You can support your community. You can be generous and present and loving, but not at the cost of your own path. Your goals matter. Your voice matters. Your peace matters. And you're allowed to build a life where your needs aren't constantly placed behind everyone else's. So how do you start? Step 1. Stop saying yes by default. Seriously. Hit pause. When someone asks for something, don't answer right away. Give yourself a moment to ask, is this aligned with what I need today? You're not a bad person for protecting your time. You're a wise one. Step 2. Recommit to your goals. Dust off that project. Reopen that notebook. Pull out the calendar and block off time for you. It can be an hour a week, a few minutes a day. Whatever you can give, start giving it to yourself. And step 3. Let go of the guilt. This is a big one. You are not a machine designed to serve others. You are a person with dreams, desires, limits. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's the foundation of everything else you offer the world. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote about it constantly in his journal. He reflected on his duties, his distractions, his flaws. He checked in with himself, not because he was self-centered, but because he understood the power of self-mastery. As he said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That includes the guilt, the pressure, the expectations people throw your way. You don't owe anyone your future. You don't owe anyone your dreams. And here's the irony. When you start showing up for yourself first, your ability to help others actually improves. Because now you're not giving from a place of emptiness or frustration. You're giving from overflow. You're centered, intentional. And that clarity? It changes everything. You stop overcommitting. You stop overfunctioning. You stop being the emergency response team for every fire that isn't yours to put out. And little by little, you come back to yourself, your voice, your values, your goals. That's where peace lives. Not in saying yes to everyone, but in saying yes to the right things, for the right reasons. So ask yourself right now, what have I delayed in my own life for the sake of others? What project, dream, or goal has been waiting for me to come back to it? And what's one small step I can take this week to move toward it? You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to begin. Because the longer you wait, the heavier that sense of lost time becomes. And as Seneca warned, life is long if you know how to use it. So use it. Start using it for you. In the next part, we're going to dig into something that happens when kindness goes unchecked. You start attracting people who only take and never give. Energy vampires, manipulators, users, they can smell overgivers from a mile away. Have you ever had someone in your life who just drains you? Like every time you talk to them, you walk away feeling more exhausted than before. They need something from you, always. They want advice, time, energy, favors, and it never seems to stop. It's like they're emotionally feeding off you. These people? They're called energy vampires. And if you're a kind, generous, always available person, you're exactly the kind of person they're drawn to. Let's talk about it. When you're naturally compassionate, you probably don't like to turn people away. You want to be there for others. You want to help. And that's a beautiful quality. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone deserves full access to your energy. Some people will take and take and take, and never even think about giving anything back. At first, they might seem genuinely in need. They might compliment you, make you feel important, lean on you for emotional support. But over time, you start to notice the pattern. They only call when they need something. They never ask how you are. They disappear when you need help. And worse, they leave you feeling guilty if you don't respond right away. That's not friendship. That's a one-way street. And if you stay on it too long, you'll crash. The Stoics had a lot to say about this. They didn't use the term energy vampires, but they were deeply aware of the kind of people who drain your focus and disturb your peace. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And when it comes to energy vampires, most of the suffering comes not from what they do, but from what we allow. We keep saying yes. We keep showing up. We keep tolerating behavior that quietly exhausts us. And we do it because we're afraid to be seen as cold, or mean, or selfish. But here's the truth. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's self-respect. Think about it this way. If you leave your front door wide open, people will walk in. Some might be kind. Some might take advantage. But once you close the door and start choosing who you let in, everything changes. Your boundaries are that door. And when it comes to energy vampires, you need that door. You can't just wait for people to change. Most of the time, they won't. Because they have no incentive to, especially if you keep giving, no matter how they treat you. That's why the change has to start with you. You have to become more selective about who gets access to your time, your attention, your emotional availability. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to confront anyone. You just need to stop making yourself so easy to reach for those who never reach back. The first step? Notice the pattern. Ask yourself, who always seems to need something from me? Who rarely checks in unless they need support? Who leaves me feeling lighter, and who leaves me feeling drained? And be honest, because recognizing the pattern is half the battle. The second step? Stop apologizing for your boundaries. You're not a therapist. You're not an emotional first responder. You're a human being with limits. And you have every right to protect those limits. Say things like, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. I need to take a step back. I'm focusing on my own stuff at the moment. That's not mean. That's honest. And honestly, if someone gets angry at you for setting a healthy boundary, that tells you everything you need to know about their intentions. Healthy people respect boundaries. Unhealthy people push back against them. So if you set a limit and someone flips out, that's your sign. That's the red flag you've been ignoring. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You can't control how others react to your boundaries, but you can control whether or not you keep sacrificing yourself to keep the peace. And if the price of peace is your mental health, that's not peace. That's people-pleasing in disguise. It's time to end that cycle. You deserve relationships that give back, that respect your time, that don't drain your soul every time your phone rings. This doesn't mean you stop helping people. It just means you become more intentional about who you help and why. When you start guarding your energy, a few amazing things happen. First, you feel lighter, like a weight's been lifted. Second, you realize how much time you've been giving away and how much of it you can reclaim. And third, you attract different people. Because once you stop being the go-to for users and takers, you create space for real connections, for mutual care, for genuine friendships that lift you instead of drain you. But it starts with a decision. You have to decide that your energy is sacred. Because it is. Your time, your peace, your emotional bandwidth, that's gold. And if you treat it like it's limitless, people will too. So start treating it like something rare and valuable. Because once you do, others will either rise to meet your standards, or they'll remove themselves from your life. And either way, you win. Let's wrap up with this reminder from Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. You can't have quality thoughts when you're surrounded by people who constantly deplete you. So protect your peace. Be kind, but be discerning. Be helpful, but be honest with yourself. Be available, but never at the expense of your well-being. Because you're not here to be everyone's solution. You're here to live your own life, fully, joyfully, and on purpose. In the next part, we're diving into a more subtle trap. How constant helping can become an addiction. Not just a habit, but something you rely on to feel needed. We'll talk about how to break that cycle and return to a more grounded, empowered way of giving. Let's talk about something most people don't realize until it's too late. Helping others can become a form of addiction. Now, I know, when we think of addiction, we picture substances or habits that are clearly destructive. But there's a different kind of addiction that's sneakier, quieter, and often seen as noble. It's the addiction to being needed. And it starts with something simple. Someone asks for help, and you say yes. You feel good about it, like you made a difference. Then it happens again, and again. And suddenly, helping becomes a routine. Not just something you do, but something you need to do to feel valuable. The moment people stop reaching out to you, you feel anxious. You start questioning your role. You might even go out of your way to find someone to support, just to feel useful again. That's not generosity anymore. That's dependency. And here's the dangerous part. This need to help can become your identity. You become the fixer, the rescuer, the one who holds it all together. And before long, you're not sure who you are outside of that role. That's how this kind of emotional addiction works. You're not hooked on a substance, you're hooked on validation, on purpose, on feeling needed. And while it might look virtuous on the outside, inside, it's quietly depleting you. The Stoics would call this attachment, being overly attached to something outside of your control. In this case, the need for people to rely on you. Epictetus warned against this. He taught that virtue comes not from what others think of us, but from how we govern ourselves. So ask yourself, who are you without the giving? If no one needed anything from you today, would you still feel valuable? Would you still feel enough? This is where the inner work begins. Because until you answer those questions with confidence, you'll always feel the urge to earn your worth through service. Let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with helping. There's nothing wrong with showing up for people. But when helping becomes the only way you feel useful, that's a red flag. It means you're outsourcing your self-worth to the needs of others. And that's not sustainable. Sooner or later, people will stop asking for help. Or you'll burn out. Or someone will disappoint you. And when that happens, you're left with a haunting question. Who am I now? That's why the Stoics emphasized inner stability over external recognition. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's the key right there. If you don't feel settled in your own soul, if you don't feel grounded in your own identity, you'll keep chasing external reasons to feel important. And helping others is an easy fix. It feels good. It looks good. But if it becomes your only source of worth, it turns toxic fast. So how do you break this cycle? First, you start by detaching your identity from your usefulness. You are not your productivity. You are not your service to others. You are not the number of problems you solve. You are a whole human being with dreams, needs, and value that exists whether people acknowledge it or not. Second, get curious about your patterns. Start asking yourself, why do I always rush to help? What do I feel when no one needs me? Do I feel guilty when I focus on myself? These questions can open doors, because often, the addiction to being needed comes from wounds we haven't healed. Maybe you grew up believing you had to earn love through action. Maybe you were only praised when you were useful. Maybe being the helper made you feel safe, because it gave you a role to play. Whatever the root is, bringing it into the light is how you take its power away. Third, replace the habit with something intentional. Instead of jumping in to help every time someone struggles, try pausing. Ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And when it's not, let it be theirs. That's how you start building emotional boundaries. That's how you stop reacting and start choosing. Because real power doesn't come from being needed. It comes from knowing you're whole even when you're not. And ironically, that's when your support becomes more powerful. When you help from a place of clarity, not compulsion. When you give because you want to, not because you have to. That's the kind of help that's sustainable, grounded, healthy. The Stoics knew that moderation was key. Not excess. Not martyrdom. Just balance. Give, but don't pour yourself out until there's nothing left. Be kind, but don't use kindness as a shield against your own inner work. Be generous, but don't build your identity around being the rescuer. You are more than your usefulness. And the people who truly love you, they'll still love you even when you say no. Even when you take a break. Even when you're not doing anything at all. Let's talk practical steps. If you've been trapped in the cycle of helping to feel needed, try this exercise. Go 24 hours without offering help unless directly asked. In those 24 hours, do one thing for yourself that only benefits you. No one else. Pay attention to how it feels. The discomfort, the guilt, the space. Journal about it. Ask, what am I afraid will happen if I stop being the helper? This small reset can be incredibly eye-opening, because when you finally sit with yourself, without fixing anyone else, you start to reconnect with the version of you that exists underneath all the giving. And that version? That's your true self. Not the one who says yes to everything. Not the one who rushes in to save the day. But the one who can sit in stillness, in clarity, in purpose, and know they are enough. In the final part, we're going to talk about something powerful. How to move from overgiving to sovereignty. How to become someone who gives from strength, not from guilt. Someone who is kind, but not a pushover. Compassionate, but not codependent. We're wrapping this journey with a mindset shift that brings it all together. So here we are. You've made it through the hidden traps of being too nice. The burnout, the guilt, the people-pleasing, the identity crises, and the emotional vampires. But now comes the real transformation. Because the goal here was never to stop being kind. The goal is to become sovereign. To step into a version of kindness that isn't tangled up in guilt or fear or performance, but rooted in clarity, in strength, in self-respect. Sovereign kindness means giving freely, but only when you choose to. It means showing up for others without losing yourself in the process. It means helping, but from a place of grounded purpose, not emotional compulsion. You're no longer overextending to earn love. You're not saying yes just to keep the peace. You're no longer draining yourself to prove your worth. Instead, you are clear, intentional, steady. That's what sovereignty is. It's not arrogance. It's not selfishness. It's a quiet confidence that says, I know my limits. I protect my peace. I choose when and how I give. And when you live from that space, everything shifts. People start treating you differently, not because you demand respect, but because you model it. You stop attracting takers and start attracting equals. People who honor your time, reciprocate your energy, and see you as a whole person, not just a resource. You start feeling calm, not chaotic. Fulfilled, not depleted. And most importantly, you stop apologizing for taking up space. Let's talk about how you build this kind of power, step by step. 1. You recognize your inherent worth. You are enough before you do anything for anyone else. That sounds simple, but if you've spent years tying your self-worth to how much you give, it's a huge mindset shift. The Stoics would say your virtue is in how you live, not how much you please. You don't need to earn love. You just need to align your actions with your values. And that includes valuing yourself. 2. You stop outsourcing your peace. If your emotional state depends on how others react to your kindness, you're handing them your power. When they say thank you, you feel good. When they don't, you feel invisible. When they're happy, you're happy. When they pull away, you spiral. That's not peace. That's codependency. The Stoics taught detachment not as a way to become distant, but as a way to stay centered. Your inner calm should never hang on someone else's behavior. You anchor it in your own integrity. 3. You protect your energy like a currency. Because that's exactly what it is. Your time, your attention, your mental clarity. These are not infinite. And when you waste them on people who don't respect them, you're draining resources you need for your own growth. Sovereignty means asking, is this the best use of my energy right now? Not out of selfishness, out of wisdom. You can't help everyone, but you can help powerfully when you choose with discernment. For you create space for your own goals. You don't just talk about your dreams. You prioritize them. You stop putting them last behind everyone else's chaos. Remember what Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. And part of using it wisely is saying no to distractions, to guilt trips, to constant requests that don't serve your path. You're allowed to say, not right now. I'm working on me. And no one gets to make you feel guilty for that. 5. You lead with calm, not compliance. When you've built inner peace, you don't react out of pressure. You don't scramble to be liked. You pause. You reflect. You act from your center. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's the blueprint. Don't argue for your value. Don't plead for recognition. Live it. Lead by example. Show that kindness can be strong. That boundaries can be gentle. That no can be sacred. And here's the real gift in all of this. When you stop pouring from an empty cup, when you fill yourself first, what you give to others becomes more powerful, not less. Because now, it's not laced with exhaustion or resentment or hidden expectations. It's clean. It's honest. It's sustainable. You give without losing. And that kind of kindness? It's rare. It's radiant. It's magnetic. So if you've ever felt like your kindness made you small, like people took it for granted, like you disappeared into the background of your own life, this is your invitation to step forward again. Not as the exhausted giver. Not as the constant fixer. Not as the person who says yes because they're afraid to say no. But as the version of you who helps with intention. who supports without losing self, who gives, but only from overflow. That's sovereign kindness. And the world needs more of it. So let this be the moment you stop apologizing for protecting your peace. Let this be the moment you say, I can still be kind and have limits. I can still help and prioritize myself. I can still love deeply without abandoning who I am. And from that space, you don't just survive, you thrive. Thank you for being part of this journey. If this series resonated with you, if you felt seen or inspired, or maybe just relieved to know you're not alone, then I'd love for you to keep going. Watch the next video on the screen. Keep reflecting, keep choosing you, and keep walking this quiet, powerful path. Because when you lead with wisdom, not obligation, you don't just change your relationships, you change your life.